Hi everyone, Robbo here. You're listening to the Blues Focus podcast. Keep right on.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the Blues Focus podcast. Before we get into today's podcast, I'd just like to give a big shout out to our current patrons. And if you'd like to join these names in the brand new Blues Focus Hall of Fame, you can join our Patreon page for just £1 a month. Perks included will be monthly giveaways and early access to guest pods. The link will be in the description anyway for our Patreon packages. Well, that's enough from me. Let's get straight into today's Blues Focus podcast. Thank you for joining us as always.
Hello and welcome to the Blues Focus podcast with me, your host, John Graham. Once again and finally, thank you for taking the time to download this content, whether it be on a podcast or you've been having a look on YouTube. Firstly, absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. I think the last few months have helped, but it's been an absolute joy. And from my point of view, it's been a roller coaster, but wouldn't change it for the world. So before we get stuck in, Tom, how are you, mate?
I'm very good, thank you. You, mate?
Yep, very well. Busy but good. And Romper Stomper, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, bud. All good.
Hi Birmingham fans, this is Jamie at Fans Favourite. We produce football scarves inspired by classic shirt designs, and we're the new sponsor of the Blues Focus podcast. We're offering you 10% off using the promo code BluesFocus10. Our latest Birmingham City scarf is inspired by the classic kit worn for part of the 1992 season. We know this is a bit of a Marmite shirt amongst Blues fans, but we see the beauty in all shirts. Go check it out at www.fansfavourite.co.uk.
Right, let's get involved. Okay. Christ, again, it feels like it's eternity since we've done one of these. I think Bowyer absolutely alluded to the fact as soon as he was safe, he was going to try a few of the fringe players, and he certainly didn't disappoint on that one. I think we went beyond bingo. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
I think more of a sort of a sweepstake he went for rather than bingo. So, all joking aside, I think really, really important that he did have a look. And I think some people may say that it's a lot of pressure on players that have to deliver in 2 games. Nature of the beast. And I think, if you can find people with the minerals to deliver across those, you've got some players on your hands for next season. So just on that, Tom, I mean, the 2 games, pretty heavy defeats. But what was your take on the 2 games?
It's basically what I expected, sort of. I think the only surprise was how how many first team players, both Blackburn and Cardiff, actually put in their starting 11s. Mick McCarthy was similar to Bowyer and said he was going to try a few fringe players, ended up trying one, which I was like, okay, a few, that's not quite one, but make of it what you will. I think they came to get some points, to be honest, make him look a bit better. And then, you look at the Blackburn game, Mowbray needed that victory. So I did always expect Blackburn to win, because I think they've got some crazy run at the moment where it's like 1 victory in 12 games, something like that, 13 games maybe. They're in really, really poor form, so they needed it. And if we're playing which was an even more youthful side than the Cardiff game, I thought, if we're playing that youthful side, then I don't expect us to win. And fair play the fact that we actually got 2 goals from the game. I didn't expect us to score either. So no, it was good, and there was a few little sparks that we can talk about, I suppose, youngster wise, particularly names like Ryan Stirk, who everyone seems impressed by so far. I think if he's developed in the right way, then he could be a decent player. It really just depends, but there's something there. Maury Miller, obviously, we've covered him before. Definitely something there. Nico Gordon was okay against Blackburn. I think he kind of just, faded out towards the end. But no, there was some promising signs here and there, and it's good. It's always good to see some youngsters get given a game anyway. But Seddon, actually, I thought played very well against Blackburn. He needed a decent performance. I think he's been under a bit of pressure lately. But that's it from me, to be honest.
Carl, anybody across the two games, you think that there is a little bit of hope there, or do you think it was sort of a valuable lesson just so we can maybe reset for next season?
I think it was definitely a valuable lesson. Like Bowyer said in every interview he's done since we were safe, he came in and effectively he had that core squad of 20 players that he was going to use to get survival, which he did. And once we were safe, that was it, and I think he's learned who he can look at to push out on loan, maybe out of those youngsters next season, who is going to be worth keeping around the squad, and who also out of the senior players, he may look to move out. For me, I think you can tell that Seds is definitely above the other under 23s or the other youngsters. You can definitely tell that he's been playing more regular first team football, either with us or at Wimbledon. And I agree with Tom. I think he was great against Blackburn. He really stepped it up. Ryan Stirk again was brilliant. I think he's kind of hopefully looks like he can develop into a bit of an all-rounder, rather than either an out-and-out hard man or an out-and-out ball player. Looks like he can have it all.
Yeah.
And I also think that Zach Jaycock outplayed Connell Truman as well in the two games, to be fair.
Truman was really poor.
Truman was awful.
I felt bad for him.
Yeah. You'd have to say that out of the two, you'd probably want to keep Zach. Or at least send Zach out on loan. And maybe Connell that could be it maybe for his time at Blues. But yeah, definitely Amari Miller, Seds and Stirk I'd like to see more of. And I feel a bit for Simmons as well when he came on, because he didn't really, we were all really excited to see him and he didn't really have a lot to do. Didn't really have a chance to get involved.
Fire.
Yeah, exactly. Coming on at 4 or 5-2 down. But I think it's really positive, and I think people need to realise that it's just an extended pre-season. I get that people want to win, want to finish the season strongly, but we just won 7 or only lost 1 in 8. Come on, you've got to give him a stick. Bowyer was told to keep us up. He kept us up. That was his requisite. That was it. So yeah, but certainly think that we've got a solid base to build off now over the summer. Yeah,
and I think everybody, me included, when things start to go slightly wrong, most in any season, it's like get the kids in, and it's like, well, we've just done that, and truth be told, most of them probably have got a little bit to do. I think if we're being honest, no, forget the results. It's about, did anybody really stamp their authority as an individual on those games? I'd agree, Seds needed to, because he did get a run in the what I'd class as the team, the proper team. He did okay, but quite rash at times, a bit hot-headed. Didn't come across somebody he could rely on, maybe. So I'm glad that he put a shift in, and I think he's one that will stay in and around that squad without doubt. But yeah, I think the pre-season for him is going to be huge. Yeah, going back to the keepers. Prieto, I don't know what the crack is with him. I don't know what contracts is he on? Do you know?
I think he's got a 2-year deal.
Because a word on the street is he's on a wedge.
He's on a 2-year deal, and I don't think he's on as much as what was published, but I do think he's on a fair bit for a second keeper.
Yeah, which again is every penny counts for us.
I think we'll move him on if we can.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just, can we? I think that's the key. It may be that we move.
He didn't even give him a chance in the final 2 games, so I don't think he stands a chance at all. He's a ranker man anyway.
Yeah, I think we could be into paying his wages wherever he goes, or a fraction of his wages wherever he goes. And you don't want, and I know it sounds harsh, but you don't want sort of just dead wood knocking around the place. It's not good for him, and it's not good for the team that somebody bursts through the ranks and they're on next to nothing. You've got a keeper that's got his feet up on probably 4 times as much each week. So I think that's a problem we need to sort. Jaycock, I'm with you. I like him. He's got a really good reputation as a talent. He has ever since he's sort of been at the club. So maybe he fits that number 2 role. It's
England
a big ask.
Youth International as well.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. So, and do you know what? After all of that, the horror story of Karanka, and looking at those players and thinking, my God, where's it coming from? It does go to show that you ship them out the team and all of a sudden we're thinking, come back. It is honestly in the. I'm not going to go into how many years, but it's a lot. I cannot remember, and me absolutely on front and center here, just how opinions have changed. Really just no time. Gone from a bunch of misfits that wouldn't lace the boots of most of the other sides that we've. I mean, we talk about the side that stayed up when Caddy scored. And we're into saying, half that team would get in front. And to be honest, on paper, what we've got should and obviously was good enough. So I think that Bowyer's learned a lot. Definitely a valuable experience those last two games. I'm with you, Tom. When we got the first goal against Blackburn, I messaged my mates and said, just pile into Blackburn, just pile in. Because they were 6-4 when we won. They were still favourites when we 1-0 up. And
I'm not surprised.
I didn't get involved, and then obviously 10 minutes later, I'm like, that would have been a nice sort of, I don't know, 12 quid in my arse pocket. But it does go to show that he has got a very good nucleus now. And Carl, I think you're right. He's got some work to do to either get some of those kids out on loan. And I think the reason Seds, as you said, is sort of probably stood out is because he's had time at Portsmouth and he's obviously very well thought of. Interesting one for me will be Odin Bailey.
Yeah. I'm really excited for him to come back.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a little bit of a Mari Miller about him, just from being a little bit lightweight. And hopefully this season, because he's been a mainstay, hopefully he will have come on for that. And I do think Bowyer will be looking closely at him. He has to. So that's a little bit of a bonus. Cosgrove,
he just needs development. I think that's what's key, because there's a player there. It just needs to be developed right. And we definitely, it's not me saying, we shouldn't reinforce up front. We should just try and develop Cosgrove. I do think we need to reinforce up front, especially when you look statistically. This is our worst goal scoring season in 10 years, even worse than the 17-18 season when we had Redknapp and Cottrell, and we were joint lowest scorers in the division with Burton Albion on 38, and this season we only scored 37. So
yeah, and I think you also need to consider that Hogan, I wouldn't say he's injury prone, but you ain't going to get a full season out of him because he's never done that.
No, but he'll do a fair few games.
No, he will. I'm saying he's absolutely front. He's got to be like, he's in the starting 11.
100%.
It's just you've got to legislate for historically he's never been fit for an extended period of time. I think Juki, because of the way he plays, he's going to get lumps kicked out of him every week. And there's only so many times that you've got to have something else. And I think having 4, Chuck Cosgrove in there, and I wouldn't put Lecco in as one of the attacking players. I'd certainly maybe look to him in that midfield area, perhaps. So yeah, I think there is an argument to, I think it was one of the first podcasts we did, lads, where we're picking names out of League One and League Two, either kids with a point to prove or people that have done it for a long time that are coming to the end of the contract or are now free agents where they've still got a bit of hunger, something to prove. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on that front. So I think that leads quite nicely into, Carl, just on priorities, I guess, as we go into the new season. Well, first of all, loan players, who do you think will stay, if any? And then secondly, if they do move on or we move some other of the squad players out, positional wise, where do you think we need cover and any names to throw into the hat?
So I think loan players that will probably feature, I think you probably are looking at, players are out on loan that are coming back. I think Odin Bailey has got to be in and around that squad. I'm going to throw Seds in as well. I guess that depends if they offer him a new contract, because I think his contract's up this summer, I think, for Seddon. So if they do, he needs to stay in and around. Charlie Lakin, maybe, because I know that he's been well thought of north of the border. He's done really, really well.
Yeah.
I would keep them in and around the squad. I would probably send out the likes of Miller, Sturck, Nico Gordon as well, because I think that it's great that they've been in the first team. But, the Championship, is a tough division. You know, Jude was incredibly lucky that he played as well as he did and could manage it. I think some of them maybe need that experience regularly in the lower leagues, you know, similar to what we've done with other players. So I think a few of those, I would say those three definitely, if not others. I think, like I said earlier, I think Truman should probably be moved on now. I mean, he's not exactly a youngster anymore. I don't think he says at 32 and the kid's 24, 25. But he's not, do you know what I mean? He's not necessarily a young talent that he maybe was 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think I just don't think he's done enough in the opportunities he's had, unfortunately. I like him. He's a really nice guy, but I just think it's his time to go.
Yeah.
I'd keep Zaccard around either as a second or third keeper. And then maybe bring in, if Prieto does go, bring in a third. But I'd probably look at possibly another experienced keeper. I don't mean properly experienced, not
bring back Lee.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
Get him back now.
I'm pretty sure Swindon fans would be glad to see the back of him, to be honest. I've seen some of his keeping down there, and wow, our fans would have had a field day with it. But yeah, I think it needs to be almost like almost like a Campy, but maybe not him, maybe someone else.
I don't know what the dissing is for Campy. I think he's a wonderful goalkeeper.
He has his moments, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I think obviously we've mentioned, I think we need to get an all-round striker who can do a little bit of everything. I think we've got two very distinctive types at the moment. You've got the tall men, and you've got, well, effectively Hogan, if we're not counting Lecco. We need someone who can do it all, I think, you know. So I think we need creativity in the team as well. It's great that we've got a fairly solid base. You know, we're quite content with our, I guess, midfield Rottweilers, but we need that creativity for that spark, which is something I think we've lacked. You know, Halilovic has been great, Sanchez and Bella have been great, but we need a bit more to push them for their places, if nothing else.
Yeah.
I would probably get Harper back as well.
I was going to say, I don't know, I've probably nosed the hell out of everybody banging on about him, but I just from the first couple of appearances when he started, which I think ironically were under Karanka, there was definitely a galvanizing force there, somebody that could really take the game by the scruff of the neck.
Yeah.
I said a couple of weeks ago, I think the reason he hasn't got a run is because Bowyer's looking at the players that he's got on contract, and you know, he's committed to them first, and I get the logic, but I think with Harper now, given that the Albion are coming down, I think it just makes it a little bit of an easier conversation, because they're going to shed players. Who knows who their manager's going to be? Because I can't see Big Sam staying. And then it's sort of,
he won't stay.
But then his conversation with Albion is, am I going to get a game? And if I'm not going to get a game, then at least with Blues, I think Bowyer. Well, I know Bowyer will have said to him, yes or no.
Yeah.
I think he'll have had that conversation. So
100%.
I think we'll find out pretty quick. I'd like to see him. I would like to see him in the club. I think he's shown enough. I think he's done enough. And that too, of Gardner and Sunjic. I don't think. I mean, of course, the benchmark for me is always going to be, can we get into the top six? And I know that's fanciful, but you've got to start somewhere. And you look at the run we've been on, you roll that out across the season, we're not going to be a million miles away. But, you know, just trying to be realistic. But if that really is the game plan and the objective to try and get in and around that top six, I don't think you do it with those two in the middle of the park. I just don't think you're going to break sides down. I think they probably warrant a start against certain teams, but there's just creativity. There's just not. There's a lot of drive. You can't knock the enthusiasm, but I just think, you know, we come up against a lot of sides this season that have got some really, really talented centre midfielders, and I just watch with envy. I really do. So, it'd be interesting to see. And Tom, what do you think about McGree? I mean, I know he's off to MLS and whatever. Any news or any thoughts?
Well, sorry I disappeared for a second there, by the way. I just had the worst cramp I've ever experienced in my life. That's because I've been playing football for the majority of the day. But yeah, anyway, McGree, obviously Charlotte don't actually start until 2022. So,
Okay. I
you
didn't
know,
know that. I
I
didn't know
don't
that.
think there is any harm whatsoever in either bringing him back on a season-long loan or even half a
Yeah.
season.
Oh, good news. I didn't
So
know that.
be it. So it would make sense for us to renew that deal, and I think he'd be inclined to do it until at least Charlotte are underway. Which, to be honest, I don't. I reckon we could get another season out of him. To be honest, so if we can bring him.
So we'll see on that one.
Did I disconnect for a second there?
You sort
you
of.
did a little
Sorry.
To be fair, you made more sense frozen than you did when you're unfrozen.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I was just saying. I don't think there's any harm in bringing McGree in for a year. To be honest, I think Charlotte would agree to it. I think he'd be okay with it. Definitely be one I'd be willing to see.
Yeah, and I think it's that if you've got him on the left hand side, which I think I don't know if we stumbled across that, but I actually like him there. I think if you've got him on the left because of his industry, you can then be a little bit more creative in the middle of the park. Whereas if you've got Bella left, you're sort of tied to a Sunjic Gardner scenario. So I think he solves a few problems. Carl, just thoughts around how we sort of square the circle. How does he get the best out of him?
I think it's just got to give him time, give him chances. I think, his confidence was clearly shot under Karanka.
Yeah.
And I think that takes time to rebuild. You look at Juki, for example, and how resilient Juki is. And okay, he's probably responded the quickest under Bowyer, but look how badly badly utilised he was. And I think where his confidence was going into Christmas and stuff. So, Leko's come back from an ACL. Yeah, I say we give him. I'd say probably give him a chance till January, and then I guess we'd have to reassess there, and Bowyer would have to make his own mind up. He knows the lad. He obviously believes in him and wants him to do well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's definitely a player there. Bowyer just needs to kind of, I don't know, he needs his confidence from somewhere. And if that's bagging 6 goals in pre-season against a local team, then so be it.
Yeah.
But I think that's it. And I think if you remember Che, until he had that, although Che scored and assisted, until he had that big season, he didn't really do a whole lot.
His biggest tally was 6, I think. So.
Yeah. And okay, that's 6 more than Leko, but we put up, well, I say put up with him, but
brutal. Absolutely brutal.
But it's not setting the world alight. And then he finally hit that form in that season and he was off. And I very much think that Leko will be in that form. Once he's hit one, he'll think, fuck, I can actually do this.
The work
and kick on. Yeah, exactly that.
I mean, this is this is a fact. I've scored more at St Andrews. So when I was a mascot in 1984, I notched a penalty against Seaman. So there you go.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, horrific. But anyway, but yeah, Tom, to use your phrase, is there a player in there for you?
Yes, 100%. This is somebody who he was given the award of Golden Boy of the Year at youth level, which is.
Was that for football or was that a boy band?
I hope for football, but it's a prestigious award for a young kid. And we've seen shades of what he can be at Charlton, and I just think he needs a proper pre-season under his belt.
Yeah,
needs a fresh start, more confidence, and you mentioned Juki, how he's been able to pick himself up quite quickly. He's a much more experienced player, and I think Leko can learn from someone like Juki, not his style, but the way he deals with confidence and how he goes into every game and how he takes on a new season. You need that. So I think if we can just get as many people around Leko to support him, then I do think he can become something special next season. I think it's a bit like Cosgrove, a bit more of a long-term project. But I think we just need to get the best out of them that we can right now. And if that's not enough, then there are strikers we can look at. One striker I wouldn't mind us looking at, if QPR keep Lyndon Dykes, would be somebody like Macaulay Bonne, who's previously worked with Lee Bowyer at Charlton, and I've seen Macaulay Bonne live quite a few times at Leyton Orient. Clinical finisher if he's given the right service. And I don't think he'd be massively expensive. I don't think he'd be cheap either, but I just think he'd be a decent little finisher for Blues that could partner well with someone like Dukey, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I know some I don't know, some other channel that talk about Blues every now and again. I had a bit of a dig when I said about Deeney. I'm going to put it out there again. I think if he's ever going to come, you know, they've got promoted. Is he going to get any time in the Prem? Don't know. Feels like maybe his sort of time is up. It will obviously come down to wages, and everybody said about the pressure of joining Blues. I think it was, maybe a bit of a pipe dream under Karanka, but with Bowyer and what he stands for and what he is, who knows? But I'm with you. I mean, he is that all-rounder, isn't he? You know, he's not, in inverted commas, prolific. He gets enough, but he's an absolute menace. And I think all Blues fans just hold out some hope that he does come home. But that'd be one for me. But outside of that, as I said, you know, the one that I really like, and I don't know where it came from, but I've mentioned it not on here, but with my lads. Just look, Adam Reach from Wednesday.
Yeah,
I think
contract.
left hand side. If McGree doesn't, if he doesn't sort of sign on loan, he's a lump. He's quick. He's just got it. I like him. He's a threat.
It wouldn't surprise me if he went back to somewhere like Borough, though.
Yeah, well, he's absolutely, you know, that proven quality championship player. There's no doubt about that. So I wouldn't mind seeing maybe it's somebody like that coming in, but then it's for Bowyer. I'll put that out there. So let's say, I mean, I don't know which one of you said, you know, he got 20 players that he was going to say, right, that's my nucleus. That's what I'm going to focus on. They're playing. That I'm all in on those 20. Now, obviously, the shining stars for us, and we've talked about it a lot over the last 5 months. You know, Sanchez, Bella, Friend, think we're probably three of the better players under Karanka. Bella's hardly played. Friend hasn't played at all, really, and Sanchez got a little bit of a run towards the end of the last few games in that sequence. So. Do you think any of those will be moved on? Do you see a future for those?
I've seen people say that Sanchez and Bella might go. I've seen people make videos on it. I don't think they'll go at all because you know Lee Bowyer, we've said it before. He's different to other managers we've had. We actually have a plan B for once, and Sanchez and Bella are crucial in that plan B than what we've played this season. We can't know that Lee Bowyer is going to stick to this system. He may change it up in pre-season. He may try a bit more of an advanced way that he wants to try, that he believes could improve us, which will involve wingers. Because naturally, he's never actually been a man that's consistently played five at the back. I believe he only ever actually started doing it halfway through his championship season under Charlton. He has been a man that's liked wingers, but he just had fullbacks that were better than the wingers at Charlton, so he was used to the system. So I think if he gets used to wingers and players like Bella and Sanchez, he may find that he wants to change it up just to fit them in because they are such good players on their day. So no, I don't think it's the end for them. It may be for other players, but I don't think it will be for those two in particular. Friend, I think he's a good one to keep in the squad though, and I think Bowyer will see that. And he'd be a great bench player. I think he can still make it in this first team. You know, I still think he's a decent central defender. From what we saw earlier on in the season, we were a better side when he was in it. So
I think in that three, I think he's I mean, Pedersen has been exceptional. You know, I think he's been. I mean, they've all been very good, but I think he's really stepped up since Bowyer's come in. But that sort of left hand side of the three. If he starts to drop off at any point, then at least you've got, you know, Friend that can come in and he's not really going to be exposed for his pace because naturally they're just lying a little bit deeper as that three and cover on on the flanks. So,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, I suppose the other thing is obviously Clark Salter's going to probably move on, I would imagine. So
It's a shame that didn't work out really the second time round.
yeah, I just didn't see us staying up without him being in the team. So again, I was wrong. But we're going to need cover, because if he's out, that leaves you with Friend, who's not getting any younger.
I think we will look to bring in a centre back.
Yeah,
A first team centre back, whether that's the partner Mark Roberts or Harley Dean.
Yeah. But I just think I'm a big believer in, if it's not broke, no, don't fix it. And I think we've struck on something there with, I think if McGree signs, I do like the McGree left, Collam right, and the usual three behind them. I think that's proven. It's then how brave are you with the
Pedersen's not a natural centre back either.
Sorry?
Pedersen's
no, he's not.
No, he's not.
No, but I think he certainly adapted enough and showed enough to say, okay, well, as that sort of five, for me, the critical point is the two in the middle at that point, because you're not going to get McGree's quite dynamic going forward, and Collan, when he goes forward, I think we've said he can get caught. He's not quite honed in on that sort of wing back role. But I think if we can maybe take a punt on a sort of a Gardner Harper and a Halilovic in it as a bit of a three, I just think, it's got scope. And you never know, after his bloody cameo, San Jose is going to be maybe having something to say. Who knows? And that's the beauty of this.
It just depends whether he'll want to be a bench player.
Yeah, it depends whether he is going to be a bench player.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer, certainly with Lee Lee Bowyer. It's just a huge pre-season. I think it's, he's seen the players, they've done a job for him, but I think he's going to say, right, that was then, this is now. We're not going to dine out on 8 games last season, and I think we're going to be much the better for that.
100%.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
One player who I think we might see released, which I think might be a shame considering he's had such a good season over at Ross County, in fairness, is Charlie Lakin. He's probably been their player of the season. He's just been fantastic for him. I think this is the loan spell Charlie Lakin's needed, because he's not had a loan spell yet, whereas some of the other youngsters have already. I do think we'll probably end up releasing him, but he showed glimpses of that he could make it. But in fairness, in pre-season, I thought he was good under Karanka, and Charlie Lakin said himself he was surprised he was sent out on loan because he thought he had a good pre-season, and so did I. I was surprised. So I'd like to see him given one more chance, but I don't think he will be. Shame for Dakris Cogley as well. I think this might be his time over as well, unfortunately for him. Bajrami, same. And he's been fantastic for the under-23s recently. So I hope Bowyer considers these names and really looks at them. Same for Dan Crowley as well.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah, I forgot about Crowley.
There's a lot of fringe players that need evaluating. Yeah.
That is a hell of a shout, man. I can't believe I forgot about him. I think my heart was broken when he was loaned out.
Yeah.
I just, when we signed him, I thought, right, that's exactly what we need. Can you have Halilovic and Crowley in the same side? Probably not.
But Halilovic's injury woes.
No, yeah, I get that, but yeah, I just think he's a bit. Yeah, I mean, Crowley for me, he's not quite at the races when you chuck the Croatian into the mix. I mean, I think if he stays fit, he could be anything. But no, I mean, he's obviously played an integral part in the whole sort of promotion. He's probably, I'd put him in the mix with Odin Bailey, just from it would be, I think, probably remiss of Bowyer not to have a look, even if in the back of his mind he's thinking maybe, and he's going to want to bring some of his own players in, whatever that looks like. I mean, I can't believe he's not going to bring in at least 2. I just don't see that.
I think we'll make 3 or 4 signings this summer.
Yeah. And I think, that the centre half, I'm with you 100%. I think if Dakris Cogley moves out, we're a little bit exposed at full back, because I can't imagine we're going to keep hold of Valerie, to be honest.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Great song, terrible footballer. So yeah, I think that there's just cover elements to what he's got to do. As we said, that centre forward, 100%, we need to do that. And then it's whether if he doesn't sign Harper, then I think there'll be a centre mid that's going to have to come in from somewhere. But a part of me, as long as it's not somebody we really rate, and I don't think he'll do it, I don't really mind who he moves on just to bring. I'd like to see him bring his own players in to see what that looks like.
I'd like us to sign Jake Forster-Cascais. That is a player in League One who I quite like. Charlton central midfielder, has shown glimpses throughout his career that he's ready for the Championship. I think now would be the perfect time to bring someone like Forster-Cascais to Blues. And Bowyer likes him, so that would be one of my shouts.
And then, you know, the other thing is, I mean, you look at the lad from Cardiff who scored the hat trick from, I mean, my God, the first goal was insane, wasn't it?
Harry Wilson, yeah.
And you never know. It's been a while since we've landed on a lone player of that quality that's playing for a real top team that's in and around the edges, but needs to be loaned out.
Bowyer's got the gift of the gab.
Well, but he's also got the connections. You know, I think, I wouldn't surprise me to see that. And you look what, you know, the shithouses up the road did when they got promoted. I mean, they've got, you know, £25 million striker on loan. And, you know, if they didn't have Tammy Abraham, they wouldn't have gone up. So, you know, it's a card I think we need to play.
Dwight Gale.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he's out of contract.
We broke the bank last time trying.
I just think, yeah. What did we try? Well, allegedly it was about 10 million. Wasn't it?
No, I think we offered about 20 in the end. You know, we were looking at possibly £20 million for Dwight Gale and willing to match his wages, but Newcastle wanted 25. Oh
my God!
At least I think it was that. It could have been 15, but I've got this feeling that it was around that mark though.
And we can't.
Don't hold me to it.
Yeah, and we can't put a stand together. Interesting. But yeah, I don't want to see that. I think we've been down that route of just. I don't think Bowie would do it. To be fair, I think there's. You look at Barnsley. For me, I mean, what a job that guy's done, and I think they'll do it. I don't think Swansea are up to much. Brentford and Bournemouth are on cold. I mean, the thing with Brentford, they've got dynamite up front, but I think Barnsley could go in and do it, and I have all of them. I hope they do, because they were gone last season, weren't they? They were finished, and then they miracle recovery. So then it gives everybody hope. If Barnsley can do it, why can't we? Simple as that.
Yeah, exactly.
Simple as that. So whilst, you know, we'd get slated by, you know, the brain downers down the road, but the reality is that I'm a big believer in momentum. And okay, the last two games, let's put that as a little side project. But if you ignore that, then I think they have to be talking about that sort of top 10 and then see where we go from there. I genuinely don't see any reason why we shouldn't do that. So, but I think if we do, we're going to have some standout performances, which is a decent segue. So, Tom, thoughts on? We're not going to do it now because we'll do it for another pod. So, do you think player of the season, the various categories we're going to pull together, is going to be a tough one this year? Yeah,
I think there's a few candidates. And it will be interesting when we do our Blues Focus end of season awards podcast. Should certainly be a good reflection towards the end anyway. But yeah, no, I think I voted my player of the season. And if we just ignore the Cardiff game at home, then I think overall he had a decent season. And that was Mark Roberts. And I think if there was a most improved player award, I'd give it to him instead and then maybe choose somebody else for player of the season. But I think I just went for him just based on how much he's improved.
Yeah.
So Mark Roberts is definitely a contender for me, but there are other ones out there for sure.
Yeah. And Carl, who would you be on your shortlist?
Probably Max, to be honest. I think Maxime Colin has been fantastic. I think he's basically done everything asked of him by both regimes this season. And while he's had, well, I guess all of our team have had shaky moments, I guess, to put it lightly. I think he's been one of these players who's just quietly consistent.
He is consistent, yeah.
You know, he doesn't ever, I mean, you think about our televised games, he doesn't really get mentioned for man of the match. He just goes about his work, gets on with it. He's formed some great partnerships down that right. And I think that we would be in a lot worse place if we didn't have him.
Yeah.
So I think I actually did vote for him as well, to be honest with you. But yeah, he'd be on my shortlist for it. And I guess obviously Harley's got to be in the argument for that as well.
Harley, Juki, take your pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, John won't say it.
I think Colin's a great shout. A great shout. In a season that has been, well, 3 quarters horrific, 1 quarter amazing. I'm with you, mate. I just think he's been just a solid, and I know this is boring, but he's a solid 7.5, 8 out of 10 every single week. You know what he's going to give you. I think going forward, he's been absolutely tremendous at times. I think we've been a bit exposed at the back because of that. I think I'm probably not helped out by Sanchez being a smidge lightweight going the other way.
Improving though, to be fair, Sanchez.
Yeah, I want Sanchez. I want Sanchez in the club 100%. I like him. I think his dead ball delivery is as good as we've had for a long time. So, yeah. But as far as the player that stands out, yeah, I mean, I don't want to pick the same player, but Colin, for me, he's gonna. I've always liked him ever since he joined the club. Yeah, they're just glimpses of from certain players that I've really liked, but you certainly couldn't award him for that sort of over the course of the season. But I've loved watching Halilovic. I've really liked bits of McGree. Really like in quite a turgid, horrible season, when you see something that's really gives you a bit of confidence and a bit of belief, then you can't go too far wrong with those. And I can't give it Dean because he was so awful for so long, and as much as he was great for the 9 games, which he was, it's not an 8 or if it was an 8 or 9 game season, we'd be in the Premier League. So it ain't that. So I'm not having it. Pedersen as well. He's worthy of a shout. He's been pretty much there. It dropped off a bit when Frank came in, but he's been okay. I wouldn't grumble at Sanchez, to be honest. I wouldn't grumble at Sanchez. He's given us a bit of something to smile about. So, but I guess the most important people are the people listening and viewing this. So, we'll have some sort of voting mechanism or something that brighter people than me can put on social media, and I'm sure we can get some categories. Obviously, biggest shithouse is going to be in there. The trademark dream pick of the season. Yeah, there'll be a bit of fun to go at. But no, I've thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it. So, Tom, thank you very much for everything, all your contributions since we've been doing this. It's been an absolute joy. And the People's Champion, the late edition. Thanks for coming into the fold, Carl. Really enjoyed your insight. It's been really good. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, cheers, lads. It's been a good laugh and sometimes nearly tears, but yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, and I think we got more to come. We've got some players that we'll be interviewing, looking to get some words from people behind the scenes at Blues before the start of the season, which hopefully will give us a few insights into season tickets, whether the grounds actually, I don't know, if any stands are there when we get there, when the new season starts, pre-season tour, the whole bag, and then obviously we'll do our awards, I would say, in the next sort of week to 10 days. So I think from all of us, we massively appreciate all the comments, all the feedback, even the negative ones. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, unless you're a Villa shithouse, obviously. But no, it's grown massively. Audience has grown. You know, we are going to keep doing this. I'm really looking forward to a positive start to next season. So yeah, keep your eyes out for the player awards. But between now and then, stay safe and keep right on.